What about you, whiskey lovers? And welcome to another episode of Whiskey Straight with me, Big Al. Apologies that I haven't had any reviews for the last couple of weeks because, as you can probably tell, I'm just getting my voice back. It's not fully back, but I'm getting there. And you know what? It's Ed Sheeran's fault. And it's not because Ed and me are big mates and he phoned me up for a session. It's because I went to his concert a couple of weeks ago in Belfast, pissed down with rain. When you've got a banjaxed immune system like me, you come down with the cold, or as I would put it,
The heinous man flu.
it's hard to get over the damn thing. But anyway, we're here to talk about whiskey, and it's really not Ed's fault. But if he wants to buy me a few bottles of whiskey, just because, that's a decent thing to do, I'll take it. But anyway, we're here today to talk about another whiskey. And it's time to not bite the bullet, drink the bullet. And I haven't done too many bourbons lately, even though bourbon was my first love, particularly Wild Turkey 101. So I am going today to bring you my thoughts on the Bulleit Bourbon. Now, this is one that I think was initiated in 1987, but it goes back to an older tradition, like cowboys and all that stuff in the old Wild West. But anyway, we'll not get into that right now. What do we know about the whiskey? Well, it's bottled at 45% ABV. The mash bill is 68% corn, 28% rye, and 4% barley. And over here in the UK, it's recommended retail price about 35 quid, although it can often be found on offer for 25 quid. If you happen to have a pour of this, pick it up, wing it into your glass, and we'll take it from there. So we'll start off on the nose. Sláinte. Right off, it's that rye spice from that high rye content. There's nutmeg, but that rye content does come across as a tad sharp. It really does give you a wee punch in the olfactory bulbs. But then what comes across are those classic bourbon notes of vanilla, oak, caramel. There's a bit of cinnamon there that comes in as well to add to that sort of zing from the rye spice. Malty, sort of maple syrup. But all in all, it's more rye oriented. It's cinnamon and rye and a wee bit of a punch on the olfactory bulbs. So let's get on to the palate. Sláinte. Once again, big, straight off rye hit. It's very much rye led. There's a big thump of cinnamon in there, and then even a wee bit of a touch of ginger. But then it gradually sort of mellows down, gives you that maple syrup again, and it mellows to the back of the palate to a bit of vanilla, a bit of chocolate vanilla there as well. Let's see what the mouthfeel and the finish is all about. It's quite tangy, it's quite punchy. Again, the rye is a prominent factor here. And it's not by any means the most rye forward bourbon there is, even though it's right up there with the 28%. It does linger because that rye pungent nature, it lives in your mouth. It has that punch that keeps it going to a medium to long finish. And then it becomes a wee bit of oak, vanilla again, and then on the mouthfeel it becomes somewhat powdery. But again, around the edges, there's that oak, there's that cinnamon, there's even a wee bit of vanilla that comes into play as well. Now, in overall terms of this, when I first had this, oh God, 10, 12 years ago, I didn't really like it. It has grown on me since then, but at the same time, it's not brilliant. It's a decent to good bourbon, but what you really need to do here is set your palate with another one. And so what I'm going to do here, and I'm not turning into Big Jim from the Whiskey Novice, even though it wouldn't be a bad thing because he's got great content, great channel. I'll put a link in down below, and if you don't follow him, you don't subscribe to him, you're missing out big time. So here we go. My first gateway whiskey, my first bourbon love, in fact my first whiskey love. Here it is. Wild Turkey 101. And sometimes you just need to set your palate. So here's what I'm going to do. Right. Bourbon, the Bulleit Bourbon again. Nice enough nose. Hits the spot okay. Difference between night and day. This is decent. This is just so much more going on, so much more flavours, so much more going on the snout. Brilliant. So let's take a sip and see. Yep. Not as rough as I remembered. It's a good bourbon, but based on my score level, it's a good bourbon just about. So that's 80 on a score. Difference between that and the Wild Turkey 101 is night and bloody day. But anyway, that's the way it is. The Wild Turkey 101 is one you can sit back and savour. The Bulleit Bourbon is one that, might be a fanciful idea. Look at the bottle here. It's a lovely bottle. It looks the part, but it conjures up an image of going into a bar back in the day in America in the Wild West, where you're like, right, barman, give me a whiskey. It's a Bulleit Bourbon. You're just like, down the hatch, hit me up, give me another one, down the hatch again. Not one to savour, it's one to get you to where you're going if you want to get pished. Whereas Wild Turkey 101 is one to savour. It's better value for money too. So please let me know what your thoughts are if you've had the Bulleit Bourbon, and hopefully by the next time I do the next video, the voice will be improved a wee bit. But whether it is or not, you know what? I appreciate your support. I appreciate you keep coming back. And until the next time, I'll bring the Bulleit up again. Keep on drinking your whiskey. Most importantly, the way you like it. Sláinte.